Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I bring you founders, entrepreneurs, executives, leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today, I have my very first guest from Chile. I'm looking forward to this. His name is Nikita Ovchinnik. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Nikita Ovchinnik. He is the founder of Barter DeFi. Nikita, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Jamil. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
You're very welcome. So let's kick things off. I look forward to this. And first question is, what is your background? And is it a logical background for what you're doing right now?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I've been in crypto since 2017, worked in various different projects, and I was fascinated by DeFi in 2019. I felt like DeFi is a great, use case for crypto, and that it's just natural that we should all evolve, focus, and contribute to this particular market niche. And in February 2020, I've joined 1inch as a first employee who helped co-founders Anton and Sergey with business development, investor relations, integrations. Anton and Sergey are both technical, and they've been white hat hackers. And 1inch is a great product. I was very lucky to be there early and experience DeFi summer from the first hand. And I was chief business development officer at 1inch for 2.5 years. And left when we were moving to Chile to focus a little bit more on family. I have 3 daughters, so it takes a lot of time, and I felt like I didn't spend enough during the latest bull run. And I've been also angel investing in different projects. I'm an angel investor in Hashflow, Clipper, Chain Patrol, but most of my focus is dedicated towards DeFi. And originally, I did not see much potential in the solver landscape. It felt like very niche when CowSwap launched, its CowSwap in 2022, and there were just 3 solvers built by Gnosis team. However, with more and more time in the ecosystem, now it feels like intense is a very big and hot topic. And moreover, it feels like it abstracts a big layer of difficulties that the users initially faced and creates this new unique dimension. And we, wanted to capture it. We feel like there is a big room for improvement, and we've launched a solver. Yeah.
Awesome. So the main focus of Barter DeFi is what?
So we are, facilitating transactions on chain. We are trying to find the best possible routes and make sure that the users always receive maximum amount of tokens based during the swap process. And we are live on CowSwap, UniswapX, Bebop, and we've recently expanded from Ethereum into Arbitrum. So we are primarily routing through on-chain liquidity sources. We barely have our own inventory, and we don't want to become a trade firm. For example, if we look at the metrics, roughly, actually over 50% of order flow from UniswapX goes through market makers. And we don't think it should be that way. We feel like the users should rely on publicly available on-chain liquidity sources that are running on smart contracts, and that liquidity originates on-chain and should be settled on-chain. And we are trying to find ways how to, expand the DeFi liquidity competitiveness and just compete with market makers, actually.
What I was my first mental reaction when you said that was, what market makers? Like, where are the market makers? There are certain chains where it seems like there are no market makers anymore. So what? Let me ask you, what is the status of the market making in this industry?
Excellent question. I think we have a majority of market makers. They are present on Ethereum mainnet, because this is, the richest ecosystem, and just generally has majority of traction and assets issued there, and inefficiencies as well. Inefficiencies that lead to arbitrage, and market makers have been historically very, very good at it. But from the the big names that are currently present in the industry are, of course, Wintermute. Wintermute is settling a lot of trades on centralized exchanges and DEXs as well, and they have their own solvers running, and also they have their own system similar to CowSwap called Bebop, and it's actually has a very good design. We like it a lot. But despite that, we don't want to allow like market makers, so either like many of them or one of them, to settle majority of trades. There is a Toka Labs from Asia, and SCP also, like some of the big names that are market making in DeFi.
Interesting. I see that. I saw some metrics yesterday. I was kind of trying to piece it together. It makes sense that the market maker, we said market makers are mostly Ethereum, because I saw some of their other competitive chains that are really being shorted, like beyond a normal that they should be shorted, right? What do you see going on as far as putting these shorters at bay? What's the risk, and how can we overcome that?
Well, it's a tough one, really. I mean, without your own inventory, and it's very hard to compete with market makers and with big firms in general. That's why, for example, algorithmic solvers like ours, they are present only on a more sustainable chain with deep liquidity and enough protocols. For example, we've recently expanded into Arbitrum, which is showing like tremendous traction. We are also analyzing other L2s like Base and maybe Blast, BSC. But generally, we follow the order flow from regular users or protocols. And we want to be where they are, and we want to provide them better rate that they currently get.
Got it. And what are the benefits of being on Arbitrum?
Oh, well, Arbitrum was one of the first, L2s that just integrated blobs, and with the latest, Ethereum update. And for example, why market makers are so competitive on Ethereum mainnet is because every block is 15 seconds. And for market maker, 15 seconds is, light years, when they can change their quote and pricing and strategy multiple times. But on Arbitrum, there are the blocks are much faster. If I recall correctly, it's like 3 blocks a second or close to that. At the same time, with fees that are now close to zero, arbitrage opportunities are far less, and we as a solver can touch more pools across different assets. For example, interact with more dexes and reduce slippage dramatically. And I think Arbitrum is one of the interesting chains for intents. I don't know, maybe we should cover intent topic for the users who might not be familiar with term, but transactions have this definitive status where user wants something or something has happened on chain particular. But with intents, user, it does not restrict parties that is going to execute this transaction on any on a flow. For example, user doesn't care in general where liquidity comes from, whether it's like Uniswap or a market maker, and with intent, or it might be actually originating on other L2. So intents allow flexibility for solvers to facilitate user desires in a more efficient manner, in a manner that solver, with its technical capabilities and infrastructure and precise accounting for reducing MEV exposure, reducing slippage, optimizing gas, can help take care of. And Arbitrum has a number of new projects emerging with this intent focus. And since all intent platforms run on solvers, we want to power them.
All intent works on. How do you empower them?
So sorry, how do we what?
How do you empower them? You want to empower them. How do you do that?
Right. So on CowSwap is an auction process. So the user comes to CowSwap UI, for example, this is on Ethereum, and says that he wants to trade like 1 ETH for, let's say, $3,000. And for example, the price is now either above it or below it, and solvers are waiting for all the auctions. So it's like a batch auctions. We are waiting for all the orders that can happen in this on CowSwap, and we try to combine them in order to provide the best rate. And so CowSwap doesn't have its own routing system, but it has a solver competition, and guys like us trying using our own inventory or using on-chain inventory, like through algorithm, provide a quote. And if the quote is profitable for user, if his intent can be aligned under the constraints that he provided, we will facilitate it. But intents can be like go deeper and beyond just spot trading, and they can be more complex. For example, imagine if I, as a user, want to route through clean liquidity that is good according to like chain analysis or TRM. And if a solver has this capabilities that it can analyze, pools or market makers, and take out the ones that liquidity should not go through, user can receive a clean transaction. It might not be as efficient. It would not maximize like potential exchange rate, but like different users has different needs, and some parties with a legal presence and who need this for legal purposes, they can have those more complex features added.
So it sounds like these solvers have a benefit of, cheaper transactions, which is something that Ethereum hasn't been able to do, and cleaner and faster, I guess. We shouldn't say more efficient, but flexibility insofar as I'm not going to be necessarily have to be litigated or relegated to trading spot. I can now trade derivatives, the ordinary user, right?
Yes, this is how the market evolves. And one of the biggest ideas that we have, for example, for intents. So if we simplify intents are limit orders. But if we simplify them even more, intents are liquidity. Liquidity that can be used in some kind of fashion, the way that solvers see fit, as long as the user conditions are met. And what we find out, and that was like really revealing to us, that almost 100% of order flow on Ethereum mainnet goes through automated market makers or PMMs, private market makers, or like DEXs and market makers. And there is no peer-to-peer component. So for example, if I want to sell 10 ETH and you want to buy 10 ETH, our orders will not match. And also, existing systems, like for example, 0x, they have no network effect. So meaning doesn't matter how many wallets or dApps or platforms integrate their API, the product the user receives is the same. And what we are trying to build with intents is that we are trying to, the way we see it is we call it an off-chain, we call it a decentralized clearinghouse vision, or a decentralized peer-to-peer matching order book. So we try to find intents originating across all those different venues, all those different dApps. And, aggregators like 1inch, where I worked, they did a phenomenal job by spotting that liquidity is fragmented between DEXs and different liquidity sources, but intents are also fragmented, and people keep on using different UIs that they've originally met or liked, and the UIs are very sticky. So in order to truly unlock intents and have a big price improvement, we need to be present on many different venues where those intents originate, for example, UniswapX, again, 1inch. ParaSwap recently announced that they are moving towards, solver system, and that way, for example, if an order originates on ParaSwap and an order originates on CowSwap, they cannot be connected on a protocol level, but they can be connected on a solver level. So we can see those two trades, unite them, and save on fees and save on gas. And this is what we are trying to do.
He said the magic words for me, which is save on fees and save on gas. You know, so solvers can also. I'm looking forward to that. But going back to something you said earlier that you were involved with Genosis, right? In some way, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2018, 2019, when I started trading these little alts, I call it little alts. Back then, the price wasn't high. One of them was Genosis, and the other one was Augur. And I saw on my BRD app that there was a arbitrage opportunity between the two because they had people from the same team who were working on it. So the price one goes up, it goes. I was able to catch that just by luck, right? But we don't want people to capture things by luck. We want them to be designed, right? What lessons have you brought over to the solver process that can help people design their ways of capturing arbitrage?
Right. So arbitrage, excellent question. Do we want arbitrage? I mean, as a user, probably we do, because we are financially benefiting. We financially benefit out of it. However, in general, like arbitrage, MEV, and all those other sorts of inefficiencies, they harm the ecosystem. And if we want to scale crypto to billion users, if we want crypto to be sustainable and have financial and economic rails built on top of blockchain, we need to get rid of them one way or another. And with what we are building as a solver, we are trying to make swaps and this like trading more efficient, so the user would not even face those kind of like arbitrage issues that sometimes might be favorable, but honestly most of the time are not. And ensure that the users in the same given block on Ethereum blockchain receive the same rate. So it would be fundamentally wrong. Imagine if in one block, someone would buy ETH for $3,500 and another user would pay like more or less. So we want to even out this process and provide just fair, transparent, and efficient conditions for everyone.
I like that. So people who have intentional design can be able to do that. Great. So you just said a magic word, though, and this is the first time I paid attention. Probably not the first time I heard it. First time I paid attention to it this week. MEV, right? So I'm going to ask you what your views are on MEV, and if it is a problem, and how does it get solved?
Right. So MEV is probably the biggest problem that Ethereum community is facing, and not just Ethereum. Actually, we see that now MEV enters other chains that generate reasonable traction and trading activity, like Solana and even Bitcoin. But MEV is, the MEV is minor extractable value, and it was coined by Flashbot's co-founder back in the early days of Ethereum. And they unveiled a huge beast that is attacking the ecosystem. So MEV, MEV. Let's explain it on a concept of front running. So front running is when a user wants to perform a swap, and a swap is navigated to some kind of DEX, for example, Curve. Yeah. And the exchange rate by Curve is algorithmic. And if a sophisticated player, a searcher or MEV bot, might input a transaction before you that would change, the exchange rate, and then you would perform a swap under bad conditions. And then right after you, they will put another swap that would rebalance the system back to the state that it was a few seconds before you perform the swap. They can extract this easy profit of a few $100 on every single swap. And this is really bad for the ecosystem, because people might not be aware of it. They might not know if they are protected. And when they perform a swap, they have a slippage tolerance. And if the slippage is not, is not correctly transmitted on chain in a publicly available meme pool, then the user gets hurt, and then he's not coming back to DeFi ever again, or at least not anytime soon. And we want to avoid it. So we want to make sure that no one is kind of abusing the system in their own fashion. And there are a lot of like teams are working on it. However, solving like MEV is incredibly tough. We have like some of the smartest people working from, for example, Flashbot's team and many others. And there are more and more, projects emerge that are trying to combat it. The way we are approaching that is that MEV is kind of is going to exist by design on Ethereum mainnet in the foreseeable future. However, if we offset it by at least moving some volumes, especially during volatile periods from AMMs, and having this peer-to-peer component that we've just discussed between different UIs and matching users' transactions directly. So if I want to sell 10 ETH and maybe you want to buy 10 ETH and our orders meet each other, there is no MEV because we've just did like this direct ideal swap. And this is, like fights it in a way and reduces it dramatically. And from our perspective, it also attacks market makers a little bit, because if there is a direct swap like this exists, there is no room for market makers to improve pricing or compete on pricing, because this is like equilibrium. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It is a big problem, so I have to investigate that more as my season 7 goes along here. Appreciate it. So I want to go back to something you said early on. You said you entered the DeFi realm in 2019, right?
Right.
That was fun back then. I had Chainlink, I had Aave, and I was like, I'm on the beach, and my value goes up by $20,000, and I did nothing. And I'm like, I kind of miss those days. We haven't had a DeFi summer, in a few years, right? What's going to kick off the next DeFi summer? When is that going to happen? What do you see? What are the catalysts to be able to get us to that next evolution of DeFi 2.0?
Let me say a controversial opinion that I think DeFi never really took off. So DeFi, emerged. It was the blessed child of crypto in 2020, but it didn't achieve majority of its promises, and we still have a major room for improvement and innovation in this sector in particular, from stable coins to AMM designs to order flow auction systems and much more than that, even like lending protocols and some things that's been around for a long time, like real world assets. It's, of course, in my opinion, it's part of a larger DeFi landscape. And I remember talks about real world assets since 2017. And so in for DeFi, in order for it to become big, it would probably take a few years. And we need to get rid of those complexities that distract user and may have this better design for community. So this is one point of the equation. Another one is we just need to have more liquidity and more meaningful interactions with real world and build those financial rails on chain. Yeah.
So when you say real world, you're talking about banks?
Yeah, we need to have systems that would mimic or would do, the features that banks facilitate on a day-to-day basis, but in a DeFi environment that would be accessible from every wallet and would have like transparent conditions for everyone. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So it does. Now we talked about, let's see, you talked about MEV, you talked about decentralized clearing method, we talked about arbitrage, we did not talk about account abstraction, right? What is your view on the role of account abstraction in all of this? Does it help or hurt?
Oh, account abstraction definitely helps. It's one of those systems that was incredibly important in order to, allow user a better user experience and perform like certain actions in a smoother and swifter way. So yeah, definitely a big step forward for DeFi landscape in general, and it allows more unique use cases that were not previously possible. Um, yeah,
Interesting. So you said a word a little bit ago. You said front running, and
right.
and there's two ways I look at front running, and I want to get your opinions on both. One is meme coins and getting your buy in there before anybody else does, and who's in the know to be able to do that. That's the first one. The other part, and other thing I think of when I hear front running is let's buy all the Bitcoin we can before the banks do. So, how are those two front running? One of them is negative, one of them is positive, or depending who you are, both might be positive. Um, how do we solve front running and how we make a more fair landscape for everybody?
Yeah, good one, good one. So solving front running should probably happen not on an application layer rather than on a blockchain or like network and chain layer. So whenever okay, let's take a look at the example of bad front running when a project that has like a reputation and users issues a new coin and for example makes a Uniswap pool with this new coin, and some users might think that hey, like people are gonna come, people will keep on buying this token and I want to be the first one to grab it, and they pay builders absurd amount of fees for in order for their transaction to be number one in the block, and they just sweep all the coins available in the pool and potentially benefit highly from if the bet they made was correct and the price is going up and users actually want to buy it. So this kind of like interactions are very tough to solve on a protocol level, but applications, and I think we already seen it, but we will see more of it, to kind of prevent and also disencourage behavior like that. Yeah, so there might be some kind of like slashing, there might be some kind of penalties. Builders might not, for example, accept accept those transactions. There is no ideal way how to fight it right now, but we will prevail.
Got it. I've been staying away from the meme coin frenzy because you know I guess I'm afraid, but um I have when I was in my 20s I gambled a little bit too much. So so I don't now, but yeah. So and I wanted to get your perspective because you do angel investing. So how do you see angel investing as different than early gambling?
Right. So angel investing always have a big amount of risk related to it. However, like majority of angel investors, including myself, well, I'm a very risk averse guy. I want to make sure that the idea makes sense, that the founders have good biography, that there are reputable VCs present in the round, and they've done a proper due diligence, and they've checked, that this project might be amazing. And at the same time, I'm always checking the source code, and I do not invest unless there is a product that can be touched and filled and interacted with. And luckily, because I have this like 1 inch background, and I've been attending different conferences and hackathons, I know a lot of good engineers, so I can always ask their opinion on the all repository of the code and how good it is, and provide have this third party feedback. And I also only invest in projects where I can contribute as a community member or as a DAO participant, and where I can bring meaningful value with my experience, whether it's business development and interacting and the connecting faster to certain like important protocols, or from a marketing perspective, from token economics, design. Yeah, so those are my spheres of expertise, and I try to contribute to the projects. How it's different with like meme coins and gambling. So with meme coins, you never truly know how long it's gonna last. So this is like the game with dancing chairs. When the music stops, someone's gonna be upset. And I mean, I don't mind meme coins. I think it's an necessary part of our ecosystem, and it actually can generate value. And moreover, for some users who are new into crypto and who want to, not get rich fast, but I don't know, build a meaningful, earn some money in order to buy more stable, reputable assets, stable coins can be a good way to go. And yeah, so they should exist. Like I don't mind them. It's a very healthy and good part of the ecosystem, but it's very different game with angel investing.
Yeah, you reminded me. You took me back to my 2017, 2018 days when I was an ICO advisor and I did all that due diligence. It was tough. Now it's like, okay, this due diligence be done. You can just throw a dart. You did say I have one last question. I wasn't going to say it, but you said the magic word again. You said stable coins, and you are building a DeFi protocol, and you said stable coins, and we all know the last implosion happened because of Terra Luna and the cascade effect from that. I see there's something going on with DAI, with the Maker DAO. I don't know exactly all the details, but how are you looking at that, and how, are you concerned, and what should people look out for?
Right. So okay, I think the current issue and hype is a little bit over exaggerated. But the problem is not specifically with DAI, the problem with Ethena. So there is a new project called Ethena that was launched 6 months ago or so, maybe like less than a year ago. And they have a very strong team. I take a look at their round, and they have amazing investors like Dragonfly Capital, for example. They are very solid, have a lot of network and good expertise on the market. And Ethena is a bit risky. They have those design mechanisms with a very high API, and we know it cannot be sustainable. When you see like 30% yield on a stable coin, that screams like risk is higher than it might be presented. And just to be clear, Ethena does not present risk they're not trying to hide anything. They're very transparent in terms of how they operate, and they openly show that there might be like negative weeks and negative yield, and they explain how it can be generated. But people in generally don't care. People, see 30%, it's a stable coin, or it's called like USDE, I believe, and they want to ape in and they like those returns. However, since everything on blockchain is public, and those issues or like vulnerabilities, they're public, they might be abused. They might be abused unintentionally, just because the market will shift against what they bet. But it can also be abused by sophisticated parties who might see it as a honeypot and like take advantage of it. And MakerDAO recently proposed to invest, I think, $600 million into Ethena and generate yield for their users. And a lot of people, especially from our ecosystem, they published a lot of negative like reviews and risks, and they want to reevaluate Maker token and DAI issuance. And this all creates this risky dynamic. We'll see how it unveils. I am not I don't think we'll have another Terra Luna in any time soon, and I think it should all even out. But this is the story.
I'm glad you feel that we're not going to have another Terra Luna. That's good. So, thank you.
Agree.
I want to thank you very much for your time today. This has been a very fun and enjoyable and educational conversation for me. And I have one last question, and it's how can people find out more information about you, about Barter DeFi? How can they do that?
Right. So, we've just launched less than a year ago, and we already processed 4 billion volumes on Ethereum mainnet. And yeah, I guess Twitter is the only, like, because we are backend, we are unseen, right? We call ourselves an invisible hand of the market because people don't know that Barter facilitates transactions on their behalf on like UniswapX or CowSwap. And we are doing like all those calculations and striving to give users the best rate. But I mean, in the future, we will definitely have at least a landing page which describes all the information. Should be done pretty soon. And we have a Twitter account where we publish our research and all the key ideas. Please take a look, Barter DeFi, and subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Jamil. It was a pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.